still remember the moment my stomach dropped. We were standing in her parents' living room, the smell of home-cooked food in the air, family photos lining the walls, and she smiled like this was the most natural thing in the world. Then she said it. "Mom, Dad, this is my boyfriend." I didn't know whether to laugh, panic, or run for the door, because 5 minutes earlier, I thought I was just helping a coworker out. I had no idea that a simple act of kindness was about to change my life. Before the story really gets going, if you enjoy heartfelt stories about everyday people and the quiet power of kindness, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and drop a comment below. It really helps the channel grow, and it means a lot to us here at Your Channel Name. Now let me tell you what happened that night. I was a pretty ordinary guy, living a pretty ordinary life. I worked a 9-to-5 job at a mid-sized company, kept my head down and tried to be decent to people. I wasn't the loudest person in the room, and I wasn't the kind of guy who liked drama. Work was work, home was home, and I liked it that way. Then there was her. I'll call her Emily. She joined our team about 6 months before all this happened. She was friendly, sharp, and had this calm confidence that made people feel at ease. We worked together on a few projects, shared coffee breaks, complained about deadlines, and that was about it. I liked her, but only in that casual coworker way. I never imagined we'd end up tangled in each other's lives. One Friday afternoon, as everyone was packing up for the weekend, Emily stopped by my desk. She looked nervous, which was unusual for her. She asked if I was busy that evening. I told her I didn't have any plans. She hesitated, then said she needed a favor. Just one small favor. She explained that her parents were visiting from out of town. They were old school, traditional, and apparently very invested in her personal life. She'd told them she was seeing someone, mostly to get them off her back. Now they wanted to meet him. The problem was, there was no him. She laughed awkwardly and said she didn't know who else to ask. She promised it would just be dinner. No long-term pretending, just a few hours. She even said I could leave early if it got too weird. I could tell she felt embarrassed even asking. I should have said no. Every sensible part of my brain told me this was a bad idea. But then I looked at her face. She was stressed, tired, and clearly overwhelmed. And I thought, what's the worst that could happen? It was just dinner, one evening of my time. So I said yes. I showed up at her parents' house that night, feeling like I was heading into a job interview I hadn't prepared for. I wore a clean shirt, rehearsed a fake backstory in my head, and tried to calm my nerves. Emily greeted me at the door, visibly relieved. "Thank you," she whispered, like I'd just saved her from something terrible. Then we walked into the living room, and that's when she dropped the line. "This is my boyfriend." Her parents lit up instantly. Her mom rushed over and hugged me like she'd known me for years. Her dad shook my hand with a firm grip and a look that said he was sizing me up. I glanced at Emily, who gave me a tiny, apologetic smile. There was no turning back now. Dinner was surprisingly nice. We talked about work, childhood memories, favorite movies, and food. Her mom insisted on refilling my plate. Her dad asked thoughtful questions about my job and my family. They weren't interrogating me, they were genuinely interested. And somehow, pretending to be someone important to Emily felt easy. At one point, her dad said, "Emily's had a rough year. It's good to see her smiling again." Emily looked down at her plate, and for the first time that night, the room felt quiet. I realized then that this wasn't just about avoiding an awkward conversation. This was about protecting her parents from worry. It was about kindness in its own complicated way. After dinner, her mom pulled Emily aside in the kitchen. I could hear muffled voices, laughter, and the clinking of dishes. When Emily came back, her eyes were a little shiny. She told me her mom had thanked her for bringing someone so kind into her life. Kind. The word stuck with me. When we finally left, I expected the night to end with a quick thank you and an awkward goodbye. Instead, Emily apologized, really apologized. She admitted she should have told me the full truth earlier. She said she hadn't meant to trap me, and she understood if I never wanted to speak to her again outside of work. I surprised myself by laughing. I told her it was okay, more than okay. I told her I'd had a good time. And I meant it. Over the next few weeks, something shifted between us. At work, we were still professional, but there was a warmth that hadn't been there before. We started having lunch together. We talked about life, stress, dreams we'd put on hold. I learned she'd gone through a tough breakup the year before and had been carrying a lot on her own. One evening, she thanked me again for that dinner. She said her parents still talked about me. She said they hadn't seen her that relaxed in a long time. Then she paused and asked, quietly, if I wanted to go to dinner again. This time, for real. That second dinner was nothing like the first. No pretending. No pressure. Just two people getting to know each other honestly. And somehow, it felt more intimate than playing boyfriend ever did. As the months passed, I realized something important. That night at her parents' house wasn't about romance at all. It was about choosing kindness when it would have been easier to walk away. It was about showing up for someone without expecting anything in return. Eventually, yes, we did become a couple. And when I met her parents again, officially this time, there were tears, hugs, and a lot of jokes about the first dinner. But even if we hadn't ended up together, I know that saying yes that night would still matter. Kindness has a funny way of opening doors you didn't even know were there. It can turn strangers into friends, coworkers into something more, and awkward moments into meaningful memories. It doesn't always come with a big speech or a dramatic gesture. Sometimes it's just showing up when someone asks for help. Looking back, I think about how close I was to saying no, how easy it would have been to protect my comfort instead of extending a hand. And I wonder how many moments like that pass us by every day. You don't have to fake being someone's boyfriend to be kind, but you might listen a little longer. You might say yes when it's inconvenient. You might choose empathy over judgment, and you never know what that small choice could grow into. That night taught me that kindness isn't weak or naive. It's powerful. It connects us. It reminds us that we're not as alone as we think. So if this story left you feeling even a little warmer, take that feeling with you, share it, act on it. Because sometimes the simplest kindness can change a life, including your own.